Picture this. A job posting lands in front of a young mechanic. It's his dream job, a training van instructor for General Motors' Chevrolet Motor Division. He reads the description carefully. College degree required. Professional appearance expected. Polished, presentable, qualified. He looks down at his hands. Years of working underneath cars have left them calloused, stained, and rough. What he himself would later describe as creature hands. He has no degree, no suit, no dress shoes, no formal qualifications of any kind. On paper, he had absolutely no business walking through that door. Jef Lynch walked through it anyway. To understand why Jef Lynch refused to be discouraged by a job description, you have to understand what cars meant to him. This wasn't a career interest. It wasn't a hobby he'd picked up in his 20s. It was something that went all the way back to the beginning. I had been disassembling and reassembling everything I could get my hands on since the time I could walk, he said. Not since he was a teenager. Not since he discovered mechanics in school. Since he could walk. Cars were not something Jef did. They were something Jef was. And no piece of paper, no matter how official, was going to change that reality. So Jef bought a suit. He bought dress shoes. He did what he could with his hands. And he walked into that General Motors interview looking like a man who had assembled an outfit the same way he assembled an engine, with determination, improvisation, and zero previous experience. The GM executive sitting across from him could see the gaps in the resume. No college, no formal training in instruction. A young man from a local dealership with remarkable hands and an obvious fire at his eyes. The executive overlooked every missing qualification, because what came through, loudly, unmistakably, was an uncompromising commitment to excellence. Some things don't fit neatly on a CV, but they fill a room the moment a person opens their mouth. Jef got the job. Within a week of being hired, Jef's whole life changed. He was flying to St. Louis for training. There was just one problem. He had never been on a plane before. He had never left his area before. He was, by his own honest admission, terrified. I was so intimidated that by the end of the week, I was going to drive the car over, put in the parking lot, and just walk home. But he didn't. He stayed. He completed the training. He flew back. And when he landed, something settled in him. A quiet, private victory that no one around him knew had even been a battle. Nobody knew how scared I was. Here is the thing about courage that Jef Lynch understood early. It doesn't require the absence of fear. It just requires that you keep moving while the fear is present. Jef excelled as a training van instructor. Naturally, a promotion followed. He became a service rep, an important position that involved authorizing millions of dollars worth of repairs every year. He hated it. When you're in the position of holding the purse strings, everybody wants money and they're going to lie to you all the time. It was just not good for me. This is a moment many people would push through. Take the title, take the salary, swallow the discomfort. Jef didn't. He knew the difference between a wall he needed to break through and a road that was simply going in the wrong direction. He went to his boss, thanked him honestly, told him the truth, and asked for help finding something better suited to who he was. All his life, growing up in Dedham, Massachusetts, Jef had driven past the General Motors Training Center. He'd always wondered what happened inside those walls. Now, thanks to a boss who respected his honesty enough to help him, he got an interview. There was a new barrier this time. He was significantly younger than every other instructor on staff. Management was convinced experience was everything in this field. But they gave Jef a chance, and he became the youngest instructor in the training center's history. Still the only one without a college degree. When asked later how he had managed to keep landing in rooms he technically had no right to be in, Jef gave an answer that was simple and profound in equal measure. Luck and opportunity have a lot to do with it. But the key is paying attention when the opportunity is there, and not just walking by it. Jef's new role required him to translate highly technical engineering information, increasingly computerized, increasingly complex, into language that working mechanics could actually use. For many people, this would have been overwhelming. For Jef, it was an invitation. He started rewriting the existing materials. He made his own handouts. His colleagues started using them. Then the training center started using them. Then he started writing full books, printed locally at first, then selling all over the world. He hadn't arrived with a degree. He left with a body of work, and he was just getting started when computerized diagnostic tools started changing the way cars were serviced. Jef realized the handheld scanners being used were outdated and unreliable. He needed a proper oscilloscope, a high-end piece of equipment that cost serious money. So he walked into the Tektronix outlet in Burlington, Massachusetts, introduced himself to whoever would listen, and explained what he was trying to do. Within minutes, a manager was involved, then a tech specialist, then the service manager. Then, somehow, people from the company's home office were on the phone. Jef walked out with equipment for free. Not because he charmed anyone, not because he had connections, but because he spoke intelligently about a real problem and helped Tektronix see an opportunity they hadn't imagined. It didn't stop there. A Tektronix sales representative ended up traveling with Jef for 2 weeks across the United States, demonstrating the equipment while Jef trained mechanics. He was also commissioned to write a book about the scope, paid for by Tektronix. That work opened doors to speaking engagements at colleges and vocational schools. Board positions followed. All of it, from walking through a door he had no appointment to walk through. When people asked Jef Lynch how he kept landing opportunities that seemed beyond his reach, his answer is always the same. I don't see the barriers that other people see. With Tektronix, he says he just walked in the door and started talking. He does everything like that. Think about what that means. The barriers were real in many ways. He lacked the degree, the age, the credentials, the formal experience. Other people with the same resume would have read those job descriptions and not applied, would have seen the suit requirement and laughed, would have looked at a Tektronix store and assumed it was not for them. Jef looked at the same obstacles and decided they belonged to someone else's story. Sometimes if you don't see barriers, they're not really there. Jef Lynch is retired now, but retirement for someone like Jef is a loose term. He runs a company that builds and services high-performance cars. In his spare time, what little of it exists, he is designing a revolutionary new engine. Of course he is, because this was never about a career. It was never about titles or credentials or climbing a ladder built by someone else. It was about a person who had always known, since the age he could first reach inside an engine, exactly what he loved, exactly what he was capable of, and exactly what he refused to let stop him. Jef's story is not about cars. It's about the conversation we have with ourselves when we encounter a door that seems closed. Most of us look at barriers and accept them as facts. No degree, so don't apply. Too young, so don't ask. No appointment, so don't walk in. We disqualify ourselves before anyone else gets the chance to. Jef Lynch looked at the same barriers and treated them as suggestions. The qualifications he lacked on paper were real. The experience gap was real. The intimidation, the terror on that first plane ride, the creature hands before that first interview, was absolutely real. But so was his ability. So was his passion. So was the quality of his work once someone gave him a chance to show it. The question his life asks of each of us is this: what door have you not walked through because you decided, before anyone else did, that it wasn't for you? Because the barrier you're staring at right now might not be a wall at all. It might just be a door that's waiting for someone with the nerve to try the handle.